Hi, philosopher of science! In this chapter, I'll explain the harmonic metaphor in more detail. But don't worry if you need help with the technical aspect. My only purpose is to show that pure complexity would resemble our physical world. So, let's go! Harmonic ratios are dimensionless regarding space-time concepts. However, a harmonic structure has harmonic dimensions corresponding to different prime numbers. The more harmonic dimensions, the more dissonant or complex a harmonic structure can be. For example, you can compose much of classical harmony with only 3 dimensions. With 4, you have extended jazz harmony. Higher limits are more and more challenging to manage. However, even for trained ears, increasingly dissonant structures are soon indistinguishable from the most consonant ones. That is, 2 complex systems are simple again. This harmony feature is critical because in the end, all scientific knowledge reduces to structures of dimensionless ratios. So here's the question: are we mistaking a small past for relatively simpler systems and a big future for more complex ones, even though they lead to the same point? Let's check it! Imagine the point before the Big Bang is constituted by increasing complexities, from photons to human corporations. Indeed, the point is just a subjective limit, the highest consonance for some viewpoint. Let's call that viewpoint Q. Q observes the limit as 2 extreme states: A state of maximum simplicity she calculates as a remote past all around, and Z, a state of maximum complexity she guesses as a distant end. Everything else Q can see, touch, or imagine is complexities relative to those states. However, Q has learned to interpret her experience according to some space-time metaphors. So she believes, first, that the complex contains the simple. Second, that things travel in time from the simple to the complex. And third, that only some relatively simple structures are real. Q develops consistent physics theories with those metaphors, so she becomes increasingly dependent on them. Unfortunately, the spacetime metaphors fail at critical places, such as the AZ point. Q thinks she needs an ultimate equation that integrates all physics. But her problem goes before math. Q cannot coherently picture the whole because she ignores the metaphors ruling her thoughts. May we help her? Of course, we impanders are gentle people. Then, as by magic, Q can be contained by simpler particles that constitute her. This way, sizes and distances are a subjective effect of relative complexity. The same happens with durations. For impanders, the simple resembles the past and the complex resembles the future. So Q doesn't need time to have a temporal experience. Finally, Q doesn't need matter to have a material experience. She only needs consistent complexity layers. So, relative complexity is the key to Q's experience. She observes relatively lower complexities as emerging physical structures. However, every harmonic structure constitutes higher complexities up to some limit that appears faded for Q, looking like vague futures or purposes. But sometimes, depending on the scale, she can guess them as black objects at the center of the corresponding structure. Here's where impansion becomes thrilling, and radical Big Bangers can forget it's a game of metaphors. So in the following 2 chapters, I'll invite 2 extraordinary Big Bangers to play with us: Albert Einstein and Paul Dirac. Their theories about time gain a new meaning thanks to impansion. See you soon!